Shankar Sharma is also with us. Shankar, your initial thoughts on this verdict?
No, all the good that the Vodafone judgment did has been undone in one shot by this judgment. Henceforth, nobody will trust the, a contract that you've entered into in India, for a long while to come, that is. Because you've entered into a contract in good faith with the government of India. You paid good money to get that privilege to roll out telecom services. And then, 5 years down the road, something changes or something happens, or because of which the entire process is vitiated, and I'm supposed to just sit back and be able to do nothing. I mean, that is absolutely ridiculous. So like I said, for all the good that the Vodafone judgment did, in my view, this is a serious impact to foreign direct investment in India.
But one opinion, Shankar, that we've got is that, while they're kind of reworking a new spectrum allocation policy, perhaps looking at another auction route, there is still a wide opportunity window for foreign players to really not miss out on the India story as far as telecom is concerned.
Sorry, I lost your voice. You said there's still an opportunity for foreign players to...
One more opinion that we've got on the channel is that, it's not really all gloom and doom for foreign investors, strategic investors who are looking at the India story as far as telecom is concerned, because they are looking at reworking and coming out with a new license policy.
No, all that is extraneous and separate. We are talking about a very significant event here. So we cannot just take that, okay, the next thing will be better for the industry, so you should forget about this particular setback. We have to talk about this, and this is a huge blow to the confidence that foreign investors, or for that matter, even a domestic investor would have in the Indian due process of law. And in my view, this kind of judgment, does a lot of damage even to things like, the banking sector, the overall confidence of people in Indian banks, itself. I mean, it's not just about the telecom industry. It generally affects the whole investment climate.
Do you think that this
let me respond
please
to
do
that. In my view, there is still no judgment which says that the licenses were wrongly issued. The matter is still pending, discovery of the truth by the courts. My reading of the matter is that there was no wrongdoing whatsoever, but I'm the judge. That's fine. But the fact of the matter is that you have entered into a contract with the government. That has to mean something. It cannot be just brushed aside by a bench of judges. It's like just completely taking away a sovereign guarantee. When I enter into a contract, and it's not just one company, this is a whole industry which has entered into a contract. And till date, there's no think that there was any money that changed hands in the allocation of these licenses, say for 200 crore loan to, from DB to Karim Modi's, party. Other than that, that also is a check. I mean, who in his right senses, does a bribe, by way of a check. I just think that it is a very naive perspective that this will just affect 5 companies. In my view, this has far-reaching effect. Stock market can shrug it off. I mean, let's be sure. I mean, I think five days later, it would have moved on. I'm not talking about the impact on the market. I'm talking about the general impact of a businessman. I paid good money. I win a contract 5 years later, the judge turns around and says that, okay, everything is gone. All the bank loans given to me are gone. And I'm just supposed to have twiddled my thumb. I can't do anything.
Shankar, you think there could be a possibility of a fair exit policy being given to some of these, so-called unsuspecting foreign partners who may believe that this is not a wrongdoing of their order?
Are you asking me?
Yes, Shankar.
No, first of all, I want to respond to what Ramdev is saying.
Sure.
That this will raise the tariffs, and how on earth is that a good thing for consumers? The industry is not there to make profit. My expenses by getting the lowest possible rate. If in the process you make profit, it's okay. But the whole objective of a policy cannot be that the industry should make profit and the consumer should be paying higher rates. That is precisely what is wrong with this particular judgment, that it rids the industry of competition. You could have simply levied a huge penalty on them. There are lots of ways to penalize somebody. But a drastic step like this ultimately ends up hurting the consumer. That is the whole point. And you're certainly going to have consumers migrating en masse to another operator or their incumbent operators. Obviously, rates will go up. So who gets benefited out of it? The government is not in the business of maximizing revenue. The government is in the big business of maximizing social good. How does this judgment maximize social good when you and I will end up paying more for our tariffs? Forget about the confidence factor, FDI, everything else. Just five guys, the whole purpose of this licensing was to remove the cartel of these 4 or 5 telecom operators. That is why A. Raja made the policy of first come, first serve and 1650 crores. And that was, by the way, that was not his policy. It was the TRAI's recommendation, which everybody forgets. TRAI said that we want to broaden the playing field. We want to bring in 10, 15 new players. We want to lower the tariffs. That's precisely what happened. That's how you went from 17% penetration at that point to 75% now. Now, in the process, again, you're going to go back to the time when the Vodafone and the Bhartis and the ideas were determining tariffs rather than a huge slew of new entrants vying for market share, driving down tariffs, benefiting consumers.
Ramdev,
I think this thing fails on all counts.
Okay.
Nobody's benefited except for 5 companies.
Shankar, to that extent, do you think that the signal to investors would be clear that, the government of India, and this is essentially to do with the concerns that investors have about India really being a scam-tainted nation where there's been a lot of controversy regarding, the telecom sector, and of course, even at the corporate governance level, there have been things that have been going wrong. It almost gives out a signal that the government is in a clean-up act. To that extent, do you think that this decision is a step in the right direction?
No, there is no step in the right direction in this decision. It is an unmitigated disaster. I'll be absolutely unequivocal on that. The government's decision was not to, to issue the license at 1650 crores. But TRAI, you have an independent regulator. That makes a decision that if you read the reasoning behind that, I cannot fault that reasoning. That we just have 4 or 5 major operators. They are determining prices. We want to broaden the playing field. The only way to do that is not through the auction process. Because the auction process you reserve for a higher grade service like a 3G, which a consumer may or may not choose to take. I have not taken 3G, but I have to take 2G. So that is the basic essential service, the lowest end service in mobile telephony, which has to be made available at the lowest possible price so that you reach all the villages in this country. That was the whole rationale, which is why you did not go for an auction, because an auction will drive up the prices of the end service. I mean, nobody wants to understand logic. Everybody wants to jump onto a lynch mob mentality that everything in India is a scam, everything is wrong. So that's a rubbish. So the fact of the matter is, TRAI's rationale is absolutely spot on. That's exactly what happened also. Number of players went up, tariffs came down, and Ramdev is saying that it became uneconomical for us. So then sell out your license and go home. I mean, this is a capital markets, in capitalistic society. I did not ask you to go and bid for the 2G license or the 3G license or any license. If Vijay Mallya wants to run an airline, he had better do his numbers. If the numbers don't add up, shut down the airline. I mean, the fact of the matter is that you can't then keep going back to the government and saying change the policy and make me why power projects are bleeding today. That is their problem. The fact of the matter is that none of these businessmen can retrospectively say that, sorry, I bid too low for a certain license or I bid a very aggressive price to generate power. You have made a decision rationally on your Excel spreadsheet. Go out and execute it. With the coal prices have gone up, you should have modeled for that. Don't go back with a begging bowl with the government of India. So this all that this thing achieves is that it drives more business towards the same 4 or 5 guys who were ruling the roost before 2007. Which is precisely the cartel that the TRAI wanted to break. So, I mean, what have we achieved in this whole process? I mean, you have put a whole banking sector to 275,000 crores exposure to the bank, to the telecom industry at jeopardy. Not 100% of it, but a reasonable percentage of it. Destroyed confidence of, foreigners who came and invested in these companies under the clear idea that, boss, I am paying good money for a contract with the government of India. You cannot just simply rescind them. And that too, if you had any issues with that, please do that before I start to invest capital. After I invested $3 billion, $5 billion, you come back and completely, tell me that everything that I did was wrong and, here, you won't even get your money back. I mean, what kind of rule of law is that? There be a penalty. You can say that this was wrong, and by the way, I still don't see what is wrong in following the TRAI recommendation. By that token, the TRAI chairman, should have been behind bars. I mean, this is all complete witch hunt. You should take a rational view of things. The Vodafone judgment was a rational view of things that you cannot tax an overseas transaction between 2 overseas entities. That is logical, and that is what happened. Here the judgment says that no, we will not look at any other aspect save for, what we think is right and wrong here. The government's policy was right. Nobody till date had faulted the policy. If the minister took a bribe to give licenses, that doesn't change the whole process. You put the minister behind bars, and he was behind, and he still is behind bars. But you can't, by that token, go back and do the drastic thing of cancelling all licenses.
Right. So Right, Shankar. So as a financial investor, if there was a sense of circumspection about the telecom space, given the overhang of the 2G spectrum policy, do you think that there is a case of conviction coming back, or is the sector of complete avoid even now?
No, you go and buy the same guys who were, rigging up the prices. So that's fine. You'll go and buy Bharti and Idea and all those people who were beneficiaries of the old 4 or 5, player cartel. We'll go back and buy them. We have no morality in stock markets. We will go when money is to be made. We are not concerned with larger good. We are not concerned with social good. That's not what our job is. That's not what our clients pay us to do. What I'm talking about is not as a stock market investor. What I'm talking about is more as an Indian. But put my stock market hat on, I'll go and press the button to buy Bharti, and then if Vodafone was listed, I would have bought that as well.